Within the vast and sometimes roughly defined realm of strategy games, the fiefdoms of city management or city builders claims high praise, particularly those set in historically fascinating or interesting periods. I will endeavor to look more closely at some other examples later, but for now, there's one that inspires the need for immediate inquiry. Manor Lords was the first game in a long time that I was really looking forward to. The last game that I was this excited about was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and finally having that same level of excitement and expectation for a game was awesome. I first played Manor Lords when it was showcased in Steam's 2022 Next Fest. Even back then, the hype around the title was wild, and suffice it to say, the Next Fest demo showed that Manor Lords was no empty promise. As the game neared its early access release, that hype took on greater numbers and even a new shape. Thanks to its robust warfare mechanics, some were beginning to compare the yet fully experienced Manor Lords to other traditional RTS titles and franchises. Ambitious titles the likes of The Next Age of Empires evolved into even more ambitious Total War Killer were bestowed upon Manor Lords by an understandably excited, albeit perhaps slightly overzealous community. This talk was so prevalent, in fact, that it prompted Slavic Magic to address the topic, encouraging players to temper their expectations and directly outlining what game Manor Lords set out to be and what games it wasn't. It has been just over half a year since Manor Lords has gone into early access, and it, Slavic Magic, and the game's publisher Hooded Horse have received well-earned praise, constructive feedback, and probably some less-earned criticism. One of the biggest complaints I see being thrown around regarding Manor Lords is the amount of content. Much of the chatter in the official Discord and the reviews on Steam points to how the game falls off rather quickly. Players beat the Baron and conquer the map in a couple of hours. Others build sprawling metropolises within tens of hours. And at the end of the day, they felt there is nothing left to do. And so the Manor Lord wept, for there was no more lands to cultivate. This, I think, is where we see the product of the unfair comparisons to Age of Empires or the exalted claims of Total War Killer when it comes to the subsections of Manor Lord's player base. Despite Slavic Magic's warnings, I believe many players still came to Manor Lords expecting grand strategy, epic battles, and titanic clashes between barons. Even for those that stayed when Manor Lords showed that wasn't the case, I believe many still come to the conclusion that the game lacks depth due to similar preconceptions. It may sound a bit far-fetched, but I believe that this issue can also be tied to a gameplay approach, one symbolized by 3 simple arrows. I have a little over 100 hours in Manor Lords, and while I recognize that that isn't an impressive amount, I will caveat that those hours were spent on just 2 maps. I rarely, if ever, play the game at anything but normal speed. And pause, technically, I guess. And I would venture to guess that many players, including those voicing ire over the lack of content, play the game at higher speeds, and do so far more often than at normal speed. And while this is my own personal opinion, I dare say, if you play Manor Lords at any other than normal speed for a majority of your gameplay, you might be playing it wrong. Manor Lords doesn't deserve to be played at 10 times speed. It deserves to be played slow, where you can see your subjects work, their long toils repaid with bountiful harvests, their worries and fears subdued with prayer, and their exertions rewarded with merriment. Each and every character has a routine to follow, a job to do, a story to tell. Playing at higher speeds reduces their hard work to mere statistics, their stories lost in the hastened grind of sheer production. But when played slow, every actor may play their part as intended, acting out their role to the fullest with all the blissful mundanities that it entails. When played slow, every harvest feels like a village endeavor, that so much, so many depend on. Every tree felled, the beginning of a new project. Every beam, meticulously placed, foretells a new home, and every building, after a long, arduous process, feels like a small achievement, a feat of engineering. But more than that, it feels like a new, warm place, be it a grander hall in which to marvel at the glory of the Almighty, or the new home, providing better shelter from the cold, walls of daub exchanged for those of timber, and finally, of masonry. Every step, every accomplishment, amplified by time. Stop. Look. Take joy in every swing of the woodsman's axe, the warm glow of the recently stoked iron struck by the smith, or the earth, newly upturned and made ready for sowing by the farmer's plow. Listen, as the rain falls upon tiled roofs, as the snow crunches under the foot of the tired shepherd, or the chorus of plate as a retainer's armor adjusts as it moves. even in my custom peaceful maps, I still have bandit raids on, albeit set to long intervals in between attacks. It's less to experience the combat system, which, don't get me wrong, is superb, particularly for a city builder. Most city builders have a simple combat system tacked on with little in the way of depth. Mind you, that is still what Manor Lords' combat system is. An extension of the core city building experience, not the main focus. No, I keep the raiders in because I want my armorers and fletchers to serve a purpose. For them to fit within the real life and everyday routine of my manor, just as does the baker or weaver. I wanted to experience the militia system, which is outstanding by the way, because, well, it's there, meant to be experienced. And once again, that self-same feeling of achievement when the unprotected foot troop is issued their first helm, or the sense of security derived from a new gambeson or set of chainmail. It's not just the protection of some random pawn to be sacrificed on the grand playing field, but rather ensuring that the local sawyer makes it back home to his family. For me, this is how Manor Lords is meant to be played. Slow. And I get it. Playing slow isn't for everyone. Perhaps you're busy and don't have the time every time you play for the slow crawl of normal speed. Or perhaps you want to see just how efficient you can make your manor, just how far you can push the population limit or production capabilities. These and other reasons are perfectly reasonable. However, you can still play slow. Keep your old fast maps and start a new one. Play both. When you can find the time, see how far you can go when playing slow. Instead of building the most rigid and efficient city, perhaps see how aesthetically pleasing you can make it. How free-flowing or picturesque you can make the landscapes. Don't just play a game. Sit back and experience the game. Play slow.